This is the last video in the series on setting up the Cubic controller and getting used to working in Workshop. To wrap things up, I will be going over some of the more challenging things about using Workshop, so that hopefully you can avoid too many mistakes and immediately get into programming. So, these are the top 7 things that people find confusing when using Workshop. Number 1. The start block and the repeating option. Like some other blocks in Workshop, the start block actually has an advanced menu, which I will discuss in this video as well. Clicking the small plus in the bottom left corner will open up the advanced menu, which gives you the option to check the repeating box. This option is a good way to avoid looping a lot of blocks back to the beginning of the program if you don't need to. However, the repeating option makes it so that the start block is constantly firing. This means that only the first blocks in the sequence will be triggered, so if you want the program to go through a long series of blocks, the regular looping option is best. Number 2. Multiple start blocks. You can use multiple start blocks in any program. They act like any other block in that you can grab them from their respective icon in the top left corner and place them wherever you want on the workspace. Each start block will begin to fire once the plan is launched to the Cubic controller, allowing you to activate different parts of a program without them needing to be connected to one start block. Number 3. Advanced features. Some blocks, including the start block as mentioned earlier, have advanced features. Any block with advanced features will have a small plus icon in the bottom left corner, which you can click on to open up the advanced portion of that block. It will then turn into a minus sign, which, when clicked again, takes you back to the original features. Many output blocks have advanced features, and the typical use of these features is to allow you to connect a data wire to the block to affect it. This gives you the ability to bring in data from another part of the program to change something about a new block. Number 4. Flow wires and data wires. All blocks have some form of flow pin, which allows you to connect one block to another to determine the order that the blocks are activated in. Flow pins are the purple arrows on the sides of the blocks, which you can click on to grab a wire and connect it to another flow pin. Just remember that pins facing into the blocks can only be connected to pins facing out of the blocks. 2 pins facing outwards cannot be connected to one another, for example. Flow wires are purple. Data pins and wires are a bit different, but equally as important. Data pins are the small blue circle pins that you can find on input and output blocks. They are always located below the typical purple flow pins and can only connect to other data pins on the opposite side of their respective blocks. Data wires are blue. Remember that just connecting an input and output block with the flow pins and wires isn't enough to transfer the data between them. You have to also connect the proper data pins to one another in order for the data gathered to be used later in the program. Number 5. Go-to blocks. Go-to blocks are strange blocks in that they don't function like regular blocks. Rather, they allow you to link 2 pins of any type together without manually having to click and drag them to the proper places. To use them, connect the end of your block to a flow go-to out block and give the go-to block a name that tells you what it's used for. Then, grab a flow go-to in block, click on the corresponding name in the drop-down menu, and connect the go-to in block to the next block in the program. This acts as a wire between the 2 go-to blocks, letting the plan continue on without the wires looking messy or being hard to connect. Number 6. Debug mode. If you are having trouble getting your program to work and are not sure why it isn't doing what you want, the debug mode up in the top can be very helpful. All the debug mode does is highlight in blue the block that is currently active on the Cubic controller as it runs through the plan. This allows you to see exactly what is happening in the code as the plan runs, so you can tell which blocks are being activated in what order, or where the plan is getting stuck. This way you have a better understanding of where in the plan the problem may be located. Maybe the number being given to this block is wrong, or maybe the wait time here is too long. The debug mode isn't going to fix the problem for you, but rather give you the means to figure out what is going wrong. And last, number 7. Storing plans on the controller. Something that isn't very obvious when first using the qubit controller is that the controller can store a plan in its memory to be used once the qubit is turned on. Whenever you launch a plan from Workshop to the qubit controller, that plan replaces the old plan and is then stored in the controller's memory. Then the plan can be used again even if the controller is nowhere near a computer. As long as it has access to power and can turn on, it can run the plan. You can also load a plan from the qubit in Workshop, allowing you to manipulate it without having the original file. You can then save the file and send a new plan to the qubit, which it then stores. The controller almost acts like a mini USB file, storing one program at a time that you can access through Workshop and use whenever the controller has power. Those are the top 7 most challenging things about using Workshop. Hopefully now you feel ready to take on Workshop and all the fun challenges that come with programming.